it's true, y'all. I just can't smile. I just wanna cry. It ain't easy. Sometimes it's work just to be.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first Cardinal Financial Wholesale webinar. This topic is about renovation lending. Super excited to get started. We are going to give a couple of moments for everybody to get in. We're not yet at the top of the hour, but just wanted to acknowledge that we're here and we're excited to chat with you. So I'm going to go off and we'll come back at about 1 after the hour. Thanks.
You are blessed. I'm good enough to handle my bills. Good enough to raise my kids. The past is the past, and honestly, I'm happy for where I'm at because I'm good. People ask me, am I confident? I reply with every now and then, but life comes down to two things, and that's rejection and acceptance. So I reject that there's no peace, and I accept that I am free. That's all I have to be. That's all I ever need. Cause when I think of the goodness that's come to me, it's easier to let go of all my grief. Sometimes you gotta tell yourself that I'm not having it. Just take a good look in the mirror, say to yourself, I've come too far to quit. So say I'm good enough to love myself, good enough to have success.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first ever CF Wholesale Presents webinar. This webinar's topic is about renovation lending. We're super excited that you're all here. There's so many of you present, and we're so excited about that. We're going to give it about another minute or so just to let you know the slackers get in here and not miss any of the great content that Sean will be sharing. So we'll be back in just a minute. Thanks.
You're good enough to get that job. You're good enough to drive that car. And on top of all these things, you're good enough to have your dreams. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, come on, let me hear you say I'm good enough to love myself, good enough to have success. What you gain from all your stress is the freedom to know that you are blessed. I'm good enough to handle my bills.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. So again, welcome to CF Wholesale Presents, our webinar series. This webinar's topic is about renovation lending. We're super excited to teach you more about that topic today. I just want to start off by welcoming Chris Easterwood, our head of wholesale here at CF Wholesale, just to kind of give a little intro before we dive in. Take it away, Chris.
Thank you, and hello everyone, and welcome to our first renovation webinar, CF Wholesale Renovation Lending. My name is Chris Easterwood. I'm the SVP of Cardinal Financial Wholesale, and I just want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today. Our goal is to add value to your business and to our relationships through informational webinars like this one. This is our first in what will be a series of renovation lending webinars, all of which will be presented by our very own Sean Thompson, an amazing thought leader and industry expert in renovation lending. Here's what you're going to walk away with today. First, renovation lending is a great option in this market. Secondly, here at CF Wholesale, we make renovation loans easy with a process that feels like any other loan product. You bring it in, our renovation team helps with the rest. And lastly, it does not take forever to get paid on these loans. At CF Wholesale, with Sean Thompson and his team and the process they designed, renovation loans can easily close within 30 days. So don't be afraid to enter this space with us just because of other false perceptions that these loans take a long time to close. Before we begin, I want to touch on a couple of things. There will be a Q&A session at the end. At the bottom of your screen, you will see the Q&A icon. If you will, drop your question or questions in there and we will address as many as time permits. If anyone on the call today is not already an approved partner with us and you have questions about renovation lending that are not answered today, or questions regarding CF Wholesale, or you want to become an approved partner with us, please send us an email. The email address is sales@cfwholesale.com. Again, that email address is sales@cfwholesale.com. If you are already an approved partner with us and you have questions that are not answered today or questions about anything you hear today, please contact your account executive. They will be able to help you. Again, I appreciate you all being here with us, learning with us, and being our partner out here in the mortgage industry. So without further delay, here to present CF Wholesale Renovation Lending is Sean Thompson.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, and welcome, everyone. My name is Sean Thompson, head of the renovation lending here at Cardinal Financial. And listen, I understand just how valuable time and attention is, particularly these days. So I'm honored that you guys are willing to give us a bit of yours as we talk about growing your business using mortgages featuring renovation financing, as I like to call it. So the aim here, as Chris sort of alluded to, is to give you a tactical, somewhat step-by-step approach on how to make money from these products. You know, this series, as Chris mentioned, is broken up into a handful of, well, episodes, if you will, right? Wherein we would cover an explanation of renovation lending. And let me be clear about that title, right? Because, of course, I'm referring to teaching you our approach on renovation lending. But what I'm really saying is helping you understand the words and phrases to adopt in order to win the confidence of your customers and referral sources, right? So that's one. Two is identifying ideal transactions, right? I've trained some of the best originators to ever sell renovation in my career. And what they all have in common is the ability to quickly spot a bona fide opportunity. In this series, we will teach you that as well. Third is what I like to call transactional competence, right? You'll come away from these sessions with a deep understanding of what to expect at the onset of an origination and what's going to happen through that origination process through closing. And then lastly, we're going to talk about crafting a successful marketing strategy. Not only will I teach you the rocks to turn over to find this renovation business, but how it will inevitably push lots of traditional transactions your way, kind of like magic, right? You know, so as Chris mentioned, at the bottom of the screen of the control bar, there's a Q&A button. Use that to drop your questions in throughout the presentation, and let's get started, right? So after 26 years in this space, I can firmly say that here at Cardinal Financial, we've built the best renovation system I've ever seen, right? We've remodeled the renovation experience, I guess, pun intended, right? You know, it's 2024 when expertise meets technology and automation. What you can design in today's day and age is nothing short of amazing. And what we've been able to design and automate is incredible. So much so that I'd like to say any originator, regardless of their familiarity with renovation, can confidently originate the renovation portion of a loan, only needing one piece of data, right? And we're going to talk about what that one piece of data is in a little bit, and then step aside and watch the magic happen, right? And that's a proud kudos to one of our one-of-a-kind, you know, renovation support engine, which we'll talk about in a minute. So not only can we move quickly, but as a first-time renovation originator, for example, you know, you can easily facilitate a 30-day 203K closing, as Chris pointed out a second ago. 16 days being our record so far, but we're just getting warmed up. I imagine we'll beat that at one point, right? So my point here is what we've built for you is a giant leap forward in wholesale renovation lending and support, and what I like to call the best renovation dance in the industry, right? So moving on, we have a saying in my world, right? And don't be offended by this, but customers tend to find me and renovation financing not because of the LO and realtor, but a lot of times in spite of the LO and realtor. And there's an understandable reasons for that, right? You know, for context, if you will, on any given year, the mortgage industry produces anywhere from 7 to 13 million transactions, right? A laughably small amount of those transactions are renovation loans of late. Why? Homes are getting older, remodeling is getting more expensive, and improvements have become more mainstream. Don't believe me? Just turn on HGTV, right? You know, it's because 15 years of Dodd-Frank and 2 refi booms have rendered these products virtually a secret, right? You know, on any meaningful measure, Customers don't know, lenders don't know, realtors don't really know how this stuff works. And here's the good news. There's tons of customers who would choose this style of financing above any other if you confidently sold it to them. As of right now, there are lenders across the country asking themselves, how do we accommodate this, for several reasons, right? So what our wholesale team has done is giving you a head start on bringing back the renovation specialty, because the borrowing public really needs it right now. You know, not too long ago, the White House announced in a memo that the country needs more 203K lending. It's really funny. Like, there's two phrases I never thought I'd say in the same sentence, right? The White House and 203K lending, right? You know, and I think, moderator, if you want to drop that link to that White House announcement, you know, in the chat, go ahead and do so. You know, but that said, let's go through some of my favorite renovation lending solves, right? You know, so first one is low inventory, buyers seeking fixer-uppers in a desired area, you know, and buyers that are exploring remodeling their current home, right? So what I'll say about that first bullet point there, low inventory, is, you know, I find it interesting that listing agents, not to pick on them, right, tend to take investor transactions over maybe renovation transactions, maybe because there's a fear of it. But at the end of the day, they have a duty to what? Bringing their sellers the highest buyer, and owner occupants, all right, would pay 15 to 20% more on average, you know, than investors. So there's incentive, you know, for us to warm up to listing agents on this. I'll also say that it's not just that you need to do renovation when these become relevant. It's also perfect for customers that just want to do repairs. As I like to say, there are perfectly good 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom houses out there that you'd love to make 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom houses. Nothing wrong with them. They appraise fine. You know, it's just a way to renovate your way into the house that you actually want. The second bullet point here, rise in home improvement costs. You know, renovations based on the after improved value, of course, and it stretches the borrower capability. But, you know, we all can see that yesterday's $35,000 project is today's $50,000 project. You know, not only is home improvement ubiquitous, it's expensive, you know, and by the way, you know, replacement projects, meaning things that break and need to be replaced or repaired, continue to outpace projects that are discretionary, like your kitchen's fine and you just want a new one because it's ugly. You know, things that break outpace the discretionary projects, accounting for 40% of expenditures. So the reason why I bring that up is, you know, a lot of our customers close and then struggle with needed repairs that aren't repairs that they wanted to make. They just happened, and they have to make them now, right? So I don't know if you ever noticed, I don't know when the price of a high-end refrigerator got over $12,000, but they're super expensive now. I don't know. Go price them. I don't know why refrigerators are so expensive. But nevertheless, the Joint Center for Housing Studies does a home remodeling report every year, you know, and this year they have the high water mark, you know, of America's home improvement number reaching 580 billion, right? You know, so that begs the question and sort of points out the fact that, you know, all these repairs are being done. It's not because of all of the mortgage transactions being done. It's because the average home improvement repair cost is gone through the roof. You can drop that Joint Center for Housing Studies report into the link as well, moderator, if you want. The third bullet point here is low down payment. What I really mean by that bullet point there is, you know, customers exhaust, our buyers exhaust their savings on down payment and closing costs on the regular. The average down payment in the United States is 14%. Average first-time home buyer down payment in the United States is 6%, right? So you think about that. A lot of customers exhaust their savings on down payment and closing costs. Where are they getting the $50,000, $60,000 that Chip and Joanna told them they needed, you know, for their kitchen, right? You know, they struggle with that. So that's what I really mean by low down payment. This is the perfect customer here. A customer putting down minimum, exhausting their savings, but don't want to live or be stuck with the condition of the property that they're buying. And I'm going to show you some pretty compelling reasons, you know, why, you know, these customers really need you right now. And then lastly, you know, renovation lending against affordability. This, as you'll learn, is the most affordable way, you know, to finance these mid to large level projects, right? Particularly against, dangerous, what I like to call post-closing unsecured debt, generally in the form of a credit card, right? And the US just hit $1 trillion in credit card debts, right? So I'm going to give you some tools in the oncoming series that can help you quickly compare renovation lending versus credit card assumptions, point of sale. It'll blow your mind how much cheaper it is to the customer to have these projects stretched over to 30 years rather than in credit card payments, and everything moves in monthly payments, right? You guys agree with me on that? So as a customer or realtor or originator, your experience with renovation lending vastly depends on which lender you go to, right? So go to a lender who barely offers it, or one that has no real support, or just because they're good at other kinds of loans. And this could be super painful for you, right? In fact, you may have experienced that already. So it's kind of no wonder, why realtors and LOs have been a bit gun shy of late, but look, here's the thing. If you go out and prospect for renovation lending, wonderful. But we want you to be confident enough, at least, not to turn down the 3 or 4 that I know come across your desk already. As the old saying goes, confidence breeds competence, right? So we've built a system that's about as handoff as you can get. No matter how big or small the project, our process makes it easy for you to do a couple of things, right? And I'll list them off for you. A, pair the company with the most appropriate product, right? From small or limited to medium or moderate, or to big or extensive projects, featuring our government and conventional renovation loans, including, and I'll tease this for you, Cardinal's own EasyPath Reno Mortgage. Well, what's EasyPath, right? Never heard that before, right? Right. So EasyPath is a feature that allows your customers to visit any of the big box stores like Home Depot or Lowe's, or if you're in the middle of the country, Menards, right? You see those, the big green and orange stores, right? And if those stores are going to, in fact, do the installation, then in 3 easy steps, we'll roll that project into a 30-year fixed mortgage, right? So let me repeat that in a different way, right? Your customer can sign a contract to buy today, go down to the big orange store tomorrow, pick out flooring, appliances, and a new roof for 50 grand, and we'll roll that into the 30-year fixed mortgage in 3 easy steps. Super powerful, right? All right. So pairing your customer with the most appropriate product, number 1. Number 2, measuring your transactions. Now, I kind of stumbled on this analogy. I don't know why it took me this long. Contractors measure. You hear the old saying, measure twice and cut once, right? In fact, you don't even measure. You don't even put up a picture on the wall without measuring first, right? So it's a good analogy, all right? We're going to give you lots of tools in the oncoming series that help you measure your transactions before they get apt, so that you know with some degree of certainty that this transaction's gonna work, right? I think that's where a lot of lenders fall down, right? Is, loan officers, and they're not really good at it. It tends to be a product that sits in the back of the product mix, and you try one out. That's the definition of pain, as I like to say, is have somebody try a 203K out on you for the first time, right? So measuring your transactions is our second item. Our third is providing meaningful Amazon-like updates. All right. So it's the holiday season now, right? Not that you don't use Amazon during the year, but it gets like revved up a lot now, right? And everybody gets the Amazon experience, right? You order a package, it tells you, we just took your money. It just left our place. It's on the plane. It just landed at the other place. The driver's 3 stops away. He just stopped for lunch, right? So our system is the same way. All right. It allows you to get super clear information as to where your loan is. You'll never not know what position your loan is at. And that'll happen via our incredible proprietary home loan platform called Octane, or by email, or by mobile text, if you like, right? So fourth, here's the best part. In addition to your normal credit items, I teased this already earlier, we require only one additional piece of information on a renovation loan, and that's the desired renovation cost. That's it. Tell us how much your customer wants in renovation. 30% of our business comes in the door without there being a contractor, so this can be a guesstimate for now, right? But that's all we need to start for you to sit back and watch the magic happen after that. So as I like to say, we've built the system so the worst LO in our industry, you got that person in mind, right, can originate a 203K and their customers still have a fantastic experience. So I don't think we'll reach the level of industry success we want to with these products without creating confidence for our real estate partners, right? As I mentioned earlier, customers find renovation lending not because of the realtor and LO, but in fact, in spite of the realtor and LO. So we got to change that, right? And in the next few slides, I will illustrate how we will help you warm up to the current stable of realtors and give you a secret weapon that helps you back your way into new relationships that you would have otherwise not been able to. You see, every time a realtor uses the word but, they should be thinking renovation lending, right? I like that kitchen, but I like this backyard, but, I like this neighborhood, but, this house, right? So, however, who is there to give them and their clients this vision and confidence of a Property Brothers episode? The confidence a Property Brothers couple has when you watch an episode, right? What we want to build is for you to have that confidence, right? So I'm going to lean into something really quickly here. We're going to dive into kind of a concept that we'll talk about in our upcoming series here. I'm going to use this as an example. All right. So I'll teach you my method of pinpointing every home being sold at a discount because of its condition on the market, the ugly ones, right? From there, we'll teach you how to build compelling, very compelling, super open house flyers that assist in the approach to new agent relationship. So, for example, take this house that we're looking at, right? In a $450,000, $500,000 neighborhood here, all right, think about it. Out of all of those millions of mortgages done that I talked to you about before, how many customers end up closing with little down, stuck with this kitchen and this bathroom, right? Now, when you start doing this, when you start doing what I teach you how to do, you're going to be amazed at just how many ugly homes are on the market, all right? Pictures and all, right? For you to just look at, right? So unlike our competitors, we're not going to just give you a list of products and a little bit of service, right? We're going to give you world-class service, but we're going to show you how to prospect, which creates the vision, which creates the engagement, which for you creates the customers, right? So remember, down at the bottom of the screen of control bar, you guys, can see a Q&A button there, and just use that to drop your questions in. Moving on, right? So we'll also help you design a way of easy illustrating renovation lending scenarios, comparing one renovation loan to the next, one down payment with the next, or maybe even different reno scenarios, right? One with 50 and one with 75. The real takeaway here is when you compare these monthly payments against post-closing credit card debt, the monthly savings are like night and day, right? So I really want you to lean into that, because I think those are the magic words when it comes to creating compelling reasons why customers choose this. Ask the question. What's the question? Are you intending to do any upgrades to this home in the next 2 years, right? And if the answer to that question is yes, it ought to be done now, right? I wrote a piece recently. If you look at my sort of social media stuff, I talked about the last mile, right? And it's a term generally used for like supply chains discussions. Is manufacturing and shipping to the warehouse, and then there's storage, and then there's the retail outlet, and then the last mile would be the retail outlet to the home, right? That's the last mile, generally speaking. Now, if you apply that logic to the average home buyer, maybe it would look like, the home search, and then the contract phase, and then the financing of the application, and then the closing, and then moving in. But moving in isn't the last mile, right? I submit that the last mile is the customization, the designing, the furnishing, the repairs, the remodeling, right? That's the last mile, right? And nobody thinks of that in the home buying process. And it's definitely real. It's definitely there. And if you talk to your buyers after your close, it's definitely costly, unless after you spend time with us, those customers are working with you, right? And that's what we're going to teach you. So I look forward to sharpening the axe with all of you guys in these series. This was a teaser upfront intro to let you know what we're going to be doing. Some of you may or may not be an approved broker with Cardinal Financial already. So to take advantage of our products and expertise, we're going to drop a link in the chat so you can become an approved broker with us, right? And, before we take questions, time is a commodity. We didn't want to take a whole lot of time with you today, but considering the inventory and affordability challenge we're facing in the customer, and it's real, folks, the country really needs us to step up and make the combination of home financing and customization a real preferred option. Turns out you and Cardinal Financial, by we, I mean, are the renovation leaders we've been waiting for. Moderators, we'll take some questions now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sean. Great information. So I do want to say before we get started with the Q&A portion that unfortunately there was a technical difficulty with the chat. So while Sean's referenced a couple times that we'll be dropping links into the chat, we would have done this anyway, but we will definitely be including those in the recap email. You will receive a recap email of this experience along with a recording, and then also we'll reference those links that were talked about in the presentation so you have access to them. However, if you would like to become an approved broker, or if you'd like to reference how to contact our team, you can always just go to cfwholesale.com. That is our main broker website, and we are, all of our calls to action and all of those kind of great contact us materials are there for whatever your best next step is. There are several questions in the Q&A. If you have any additional questions, please continue to drop them as we go down the list. So Sean, question, most of these questions are specific to what you were discussing, specific scenarios, etc. I'd like to start with, do you have a list of projects that the big box stores will do with EasyPath Reno? So we know that's a great, awesome, streamlined process with the big box stores. Is there a specific kind or range of projects that they'll address?
Yeah, so I'll answer that question this way, right? In case you don't know this, in the background, folks, the big box stores, and it's not just those three, it's, Lumber Liquidators and, some of your regional stores are partnering with regional home improvement talent. And what they're saying is, we have all this foot traffic, right? Maybe for these 10 zip codes, we'll give you all the kitchen jobs, all right? We'll validate you work for us, on those particular jobs, right? So as a result, you see the list of installation projects that the Home Depot offers, for example, growing by the month, right? So the Home Depot, so in answer to the question, I'm kind of taking a long way around, but I wanted to point out that, but in answer to your question is, there's no real list of types of projects. If the store will do it, it qualifies. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to look at the bid and make sure that it is material and installation of only, meaning your customer can't finance like a Red Bull or a lawnmower or anything like that, right? But we're going to make sure it's the material and installation only. And if the store will do it, it qualifies. There's lots of projects those stores won't, like they won't rearrange your floor plan or blow out your house or do any major construction. But if you got a 12 by 20 kitchen and you want to take everything out and put a new one in, they'll certainly do that, right? So I hope that was clear enough.
Yeah, definitely. All right, next question is the EasyPath only available on conventional rehab?
EasyPath is a feature, all right, of our Choice Renovation, which is Freddie's products, either Choice Renovation or Choice Renovation Express particularly. Has to do with some parts of the ability to play the store in certain states 100% of the project if that's what the store requires. You know this dynamic, right? You go to Home Depot and you go, I love these floors. Can you put them in my house? And they go, that'll be $10,000. Where's your money, right? So it doesn't comply with the 50% of material sort of thing with some, with Fannie Mae or 203K, but it does work quite nicely with Choice Rental Express, right? So it's a feature on our Choice Rental Express products, by the way, in answer to your question.
Awesome. So next question is, you referenced our awesome internal renovation dedicated team. So the question is that really handled internally by Cardinal Financial or is it by another third party?
Yeah, they're all employees here, soup to nuts, right? Not only, I mean, and this is, I mean, I'm glad this question was asked, right? Because this is the coup d'etat of the offering here, right? And it's not just, give us a deal and we'll sort of, process it for you fastly. Our team is there answering questions, working scenarios, helping you really tee these things up properly for your borrower, really guiding you through our measuring process so you can get that right. And I'll tell you what's really cool is we have what we call project coordinators, and they are sort of handling that sort of customer, contractor, and municipality and inspector sort of piece. I don't hand off to a a draw disbursement person like most other companies do. Our project coordinators handle the project through closing, through completion of the project. So it's really relationship oriented. That contractor and customer deals with one person all the way through the transaction.
Yeah, no, totally the difference there. So I do want to call out that it's 1:20 or 1:28 p.m. Eastern time is what I should say, but we're there at the 28-minute of the hour. This was only slated to go until the halfway mark of the hour, but we will stay on until the questions are answered. We understand though and really respect all of your time and really appreciate you coming. You will all be receiving our recap recording of this. So if you need to drop, at the half hour, totally understandable. You will still receive a recording or you'll see the rest of the Q&A if you want to catch it later or something. Just wanted to throw that out there, but we are happy to stay on and make sure that all of the questions are answered.
Maybe Victoria, we take 3 or 4 more.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I'm going to try to summarize most of them into 1 or 2 questions. So essentially a lot of people are asking, is there a max amount allowed on Easy Path? Is it for conforming projects only? Are there options if they want to get bids from a custom contractor? Can you just kind of talk about that in general?
Yeah. So look, I just want to make it, my aim with Easy Path has been to make it easy for the customer to finance those projects that they would otherwise put on a 29% credit card post closing, right? So you close a regular 30-year fixed FHA loan, for example, with a 51 back ratio, and then they go get $30,000 from Lowe's on a 29% credit card. That's not scary at all, right? So the essence here was to get it so that they can simply pick, those projects and roll them into the mortgage. Having said that, I don't know. I just repeat the question one more time. I feel like I went off on a tangent.
Yeah, no, definitely not a tangent. Just kind of, there's a lot of very specific questions, but essentially, like, is there a max amount allowed to Easy Path?
That's what we were
What
doing.
if Easy Path
So
doesn't fit your project?
I
Are there
got you.
options to have custom? Like somebody said, like, well, I live in a really rural area and we don't have a lot of those big box stores.
Yep.
Are there still options for those people or for non-conforming loans? Like, what are the options available?
Yeah. So, and thank you for helping me remember. I guess I'm getting old, but whatever. If it falls out of Easy Path, so what? You get a contractor, right? So remember, the Easy Path was designed in the event that your customer just wants to add those pieces, to their mortgage, and it'd be quite simple, right? I'm going to go pick out, you can spend $25,000 on appliances just alone, right? So we have all these upgrades for which you don't need to hire a contractor for. It gets rolled into the mortgage. They get a 1-year warranty, right? But remember, those stores won't fix things. They want to sell you things. They want to sell you product, right? But if it tends to be a loan that, starts out an Easy Path, but you find out you want your floors refurbished rather than replaced, for example, so what? You get a contractor and it's a regular deal. Easy. No big deal.
A lot of the other questions, again, trying to kind of roll up a bunch of questions into one answer is, how does the appraisal process work and what happens if something doesn't appraise the way as expected?
That's a good point. It's a good question. Now, generally speaking, your customers are aiming for getting dollar for dollar value, right? I buy a house at the right price, or like I mostly say, being sold at a discount because of its condition, right? That means I'm getting the home at a good price. And let's say I get it for $300 and I add $50,000 in repairs, right? Hopefully you're looking for a dollar for dollar credit for your $50,000, but that doesn't always happen, right? So, and with our conventional products, if you're, for my example, 300 purchase, $50,000 in repairs, it appraises for $345, you bring your minimum down payment plus the additional $5,000. With the government or 203K and 203K limited, that same scenario, you buy for $3, you have $50,000 in repairs, and appraises for, or it under appraises, meaning less than the 350, all right, we can use what it does appraise for times 110%. So 110% of the after improved value becomes my new appraised value, right? So you get a lot of leeway with the government loans in the event, that $12,000 refrigerator doesn't give you $12,000 in value back, right? Does that make sense?
No, it totally does. That was a great answer. And kind of adding on to that, how do you calculate that after improved value? What is the kind of process there?
It's all over the map, right? I mean, you have customers that, generally or genuinely, I should say, over improve or seek to over improve. You generally see that on refinance cases, where customers are, in a neighborhood for a long time. They don't want to leave, but they want to build the Taj Mahal on top of their ranch or something, right? And it doesn't appraise. But when you think about it on purchases, it's really the appraiser's duty to seek to validate the cost to buy and the cost to renovate. They don't always do it, but they get pretty close in most cases, right? But answer your question, there's no real formula. I guess you could Google some projects and whether or not you get dollar for dollar value, but the jury's out on that. You're going to get a lot of opinion. A kitchen will get you back 90%. A pool will get you back 70%, right? So you're really going to want to do homework, and you won't really know until you get that after improved value back.
Awesome. So next question is kind of about process. So when I guess submitting a loan, et cetera, do they need to fill out a worksheet for the renovation program to calculate post-renovation DTI?
Do they need to fill out a form to calculate post-renovation DTI?
So essentially, does the
Well-
broker themselves need to provide all of that information, or is it kind
Absolutely
of
not.
within our process?
Listen, I was serious. You need to provide me how much the customer thinks they're going to spend in reno. We have everything else. You don't need to participate in anything else. Now we'll let you know quickly. Are you okay with that? Now, the DTI should be somewhat known on the onset, right? Because it's your cost to buy plus your cost to renovate becomes your acquisition cost akin to a sales price, right? So you would know your DTI automatically. Your question is whether or not the transaction will work on the after improved value. We won't know that until the appraisal comes back, but you'll know whether or not they qualify on the onset. Again, I only ask that you give us the proposed renovation amount on the onset. You can give us more than that if you like, but for the inexperienced, that's all I need.
Awesome. We have a question. Of course, all loans and loan scenarios are different and all borrowers are different, so we can't guarantee anything, but there's a general question of somebody who has a client that's looking to buy a $1.3 million house. The house has 6 bathrooms, but one of them, the seller removed the sink, the shower, and the floor. Is this the type of scenario that might still be eligible for a renovation loan?
Loan amount and area, max loan limit notwithstanding, so let's assume that it qualifies that way. Then yeah, of course. Folks, there are perfectly good transactions out there of homes that don't have kitchens or where the grass is growing out the living room, right? Those are perfect rental deals. Remember, it's not just the things that the customer wants to repair. It can also solve the things that the customer needs to repair, meaning homes that are in super disrepair are great renovation loans. That's what I meant when I said your listing agents listing homes that they would normally give to an investor. Owner occupants would pay 15 to 20% more if they knew you and knew how to do this. Part of what you'll learn in the rest of the series.
Another question actually from that same guest was, will you consider the renovation as a second loan?
No, it's one loan, one payment, one closing, all together, one first lien position mortgage.
So what is the max amount that you can use on Easy Path, or is there a max amount?
There isn't a max amount. Again, I'll defer to what the store is doing. If you're in a high cost state, I live in New Jersey, a high end kitchen with, high end, flooring or high end cabinetry, high end, countertops. I think it's illegal to sell a house without granite countertop nowadays anyway, but and high end appliances could get you above $100,000. If the Home Depot will do it, it's an Easy Path loan, right? That's actually a great question.
Another question, this one's kind of specific, is can you do a renovation loan for non-legal additional dwellings?
For say non-legal
For non-legal additional dwellings.
I don't like the word non-legal, right?
So I don't know what non-legal honestly
right?
means. So I'd
right?
love to hear some
Yeah.
more context around what it means to have a non-legal dwelling.
I see a couple of questions floating around ADUs, and I think, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think that's the aim, right? Is can we do it on ADUs? There's a question talking about building an ADU, and unlike FHA, does the ADU have to be attached? It does not with our conventional projects. ADUs do not have to be attached to the home. With FHA, they do, and they can be built from the ground up as an existing building, right? But if that's the question that you originally asked, Victoria, which was, ADUs, then yes, they can be done. But they have to conform from the municipality, right? So it has to be approved or permitted from the municipality. If it's an illegal unit, we can't condone or be a part of that building, of course.
I think that the germ of that question, guys, is our broker partners, please just contact your account executive or contact our team directly. And if you have a specific scenario, that's like what we wanted to have be the result of this, of course, is to start conversations and help us find the best path for you if there is one. So Sean has all of this just living in his brain. Connect with our team, connect with your account executive so that we can fully flesh out all of these scenarios that you have that are very specific and see what opportunities are available. But the real takeaway here is that Sean is an expert in this space. And if there's a way, he and his team can help you find it. He knows all of these parameters, all these very specific questions, and it's his job to sit here and help you find solutions if you have a great opportunity available for a renovation loan.
I see a question here. Not sure if you mentioned this already, but I missed it from Greg Hernandez here. How do the funds become available, used for renovation before or after the transaction is closed? That's an easy one, and maybe we'll use this one to take us out with it, right? And this is some of the scripting, Greg, you'll get from us, right? In your later sessions. But I've truncated 26 years of renovation lending down into a couple of sentences, which explain how renovation lending works, because you get, in some cases with realtors and customers, you get about 30 seconds, to explain this, right? And the way I say it and the script that you'll get goes something like this. At time of closing, we'll pay off the seller or hold in an interest-bearing escrow account on your behalf. The money identified as renovation to be given to the contractor of your choice as the work is completed after closing. And then I shut up and take questions.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think that is a great way to go out. We do have so many more questions, but again, we do want to be respectful of everyone's time. Our team will be pulling all of these questions. We have a record of who asked them. So if your account executive needs to follow up with you and give you more information specifically, again, that is what this is for. It is not to generalize all this information. We wanted these specific questions so that our team can follow up with you. So we'll make sure that, somebody addresses and looks at your questions individually as well. Sean, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, brokers. Thank you, everyone, so much for attending. We so appreciate it. There is a question about when is our next webinar going to happen. So we are probably going to do maybe one more of this similar content to allow those who are not available at this session to also attend. And then we'll start doing some different types of content. This, guys, is growing organically. We want you to get the answers you need to the questions you need. We're trying not to template it too much. So it's our intention to kind of broadly distribute this particular message a little bit broader and then follow it up we wanted to get all of your feedback and learn what the pain points are, what the opportunities for your further education are from these questions and stuff. So it sounds to me like we've got a lot of opportunity to further educate on EasyPath. Sounds like that's a great area of interest for you guys. So if I had
Excited about that.
If I had to guess, we'll probably do a deep dive specifically into EasyPath at our next one. Just keep involved, look at your emails from CF Wholesale, keep reading those because we'll have updates. And also just check in with your account executive. Honestly, the more you bug them saying you want it, the faster we can get it to you. But again, thank you so much for your time today. You will receive a recap email tomorrow with a link to the recording of this webinar, along with a recap and bullets, and then the links referenced in the content here today. So thank you again so much. Have a great day, everyone.